Coming up in this compact episode, we update you on the stateside car and I have a cup of tea. It's all go in the workshop as Jean is shaping, Pierre is tinkering and Bradley is welding. And all three are lifting. And we meet the V8 Stealth Beetle builders. But first... Hello and welcome to a COVID-19 version of V8 Stealth Beetle. This is our 22nd episode and today we are going to be looking at what's been happening in the workshop. Obviously COVID-19 has pretty much closed everything down in South Africa for the past 3 months. But with the relaxing of the regulations, the workshop is back and running, and boy are we running. We have got chassis going to Sweden, we have got car bodies going to Durban, we've got full cars going to America. Let's have a look in a bit more detail. After a 3-month strict forced South African lockdown, we are slowly getting back up to speed. On the US car, the engine is back.
So on the V8 Stealth Beetle, we generally use the Audi 4.2 V8. This is the 40-valve engine, which is the first time we've fitted it to a Beetle. It's got 1 or 2 complications, which I'm sure we'll solve. One of the biggest changes on the Beetle itself is that we have a drive-by-wire pedal, so it's not got a mechanical cable-driven accelerator mechanism. We can solve that one. The other thing we need to do is to use a different ECU, which we've already ordered, and the flywheel is slightly different, not a big change, but it is different to the standard 4.2 ABZ engine. We're looking forward to seeing what this baby does. It's supposed to have significantly more power, more grunt, but we'll see when we fit it.
More grunt? Who needs more grunt? Okay, we all do. Now, back from the panel shop, soundproofed and carpeted, the body waits patiently as the final components arrive. That orange roll cage is so sweet. Moving on. Here's a brief look at the next chassis that's already powder coated and will be heading out to Frederick in Sweden very shortly. At the same time, we're prepping this body for our builder Raven in Durban, South Africa. It's all go. And just in case you forgot what a finished V8 Stealth Beetle looks like, and yes, before you scream and shout, we do plan to take her out for a proper run very soon. Meanwhile, Bradley, our newest team member, is busy welding gearbox linkages and fabricating jigs. Okay, before we meet the builders, I think you need to get some hot off-the-press news. It won't suit everyone, but for our American viewers, I think you're going to be excited.
This is something that we, in one of our first episodes, said we would never do, and that is to put a non-Volkswagen or non-Audi engine in the Beetle. But we've had so many inquiries about this that we've decided to investigate the possibilities of doing it. This is the LS3, the 6.2 litre V8. And we are starting to look at what does it take to get this into the Beetle. On the adapter side, I don't think we'll have any real complications there. We've already had a look. The intake manifold can be turned around because we need the intake to be this side. We can't have it on the front of the engine because of our firewall. One of the things which definitely going to be a challenge is the water to the engine. The way the engine would sit if we had to put it into the standard chassis is the firewall would be right up against the water pump. So we would definitely have to reroute the water maybe down the side of the chassis. I think that's pretty much where it's going to end up. As for space, height-wise, width, we'll be fine. We've got more than enough space for the two headers. We've got enough deck height inside the car. The intake manifold and everything would fit. Sump, we've got enough space. So it's doable, but we're a long way from solving all the complications. And yeah, maybe a few months' time, we'll be driving a LS3 around.
So that's why it's taken us so long to look at the LS3 chassis. There's much more to making it fit than just changing a few engine mounts and bolting in the Chevy crate engine. And for those non-petrol heads, here's Jean to elaborate on mating a Chevy block with an Audi transaxle.
In a Chevy, the engine is driving a gearbox, and from the gearbox you've got a drive shaft or a prop shaft down to a differential down to the back wheels. Because we're mid-mounting the engine, we need to drive into a transaxle, which means that the drives are out the side here, straight onto the wheels. There's no need for a gearbox as such, no need for a prop shaft, no need for a differential sitting on the rear axle. All that is built into the transaxle. In the adapter plate, which would not be made out of wood, on the one side of the adapter you would have the LS3 configuration. On the other side of the adapter you'll have the Audi configuration. So these two are there so that your output shaft or input shaft, whichever way you want to look at it, into the gearbox mates with the flywheel coming off the LS3. That all might sound quite simple. The other thing we have to remember is inside this we need a flywheel with a ring gear, and that ring gear needs to be driven by a starter motor. So we can't use a Chevy starter motor because it's designed for a much bigger ring gear. And to use the Audi starter motor, we have got other complications. So that's another little thing that needs to be solved, but we will definitely solve it.
At V8 Stealth Beetle, we're all for mixed marriages. And finally, let's touch base quickly with our builders to see how they are getting on. First up, Carl and Yvonne in the UK.
Hi, my name's Yvonne and this is Carl. We're from Lincolnshire in the UK.
We were looking for something very different and not the same old. And we came across this on YouTube, and the more we looked into it, the more we liked it. So we decided to buy one.
We started this back in July 19, but we both work full time, and also we decided that it was the kind of project that we really didn't want to rush. So we're taking our time with it and doing everything properly.
The intercoolers that are going to be fitted are actually going to be behind the wheels and inside the wings.
So that's where we're up to, about halfway through the build so far.
Tony in Australia bought our very first chassis, and it looks like it's just about to break out of the box.
This is my V8 Stealth Beetle project. I've been playing with Volkswagens for 30 odd years, and this one, without a doubt, I believe will be the best one I've had yet.
Derek is in Scotland.
Welcome to D-Dub's camper vans. V8 Stealth Beetle.
As you can see, I've put on a pre-68 front and rear nose, which makes it more complicated for where the exhausts are going to go. This is the engine that I'll be using, which is the ABZ Audi A8 engine.
I purchased the Stealth Beetle having followed the team throughout their design journey. Really bought into the kind of engineering concept, and like the idea of having an old looking car that goes like a new car.
Raven is in Durban, South Africa.
My name is Raven. This is the Durban chassis. As you can see, the chassis is almost completely assembled. There are just a few pieces we're waiting for in the way of the shock absorbers and some suspension parts that are required to completely finish the chassis. We have the engine and transmission assembly complete, ready for testing, and we're soon going to be installing it into this.
And a quick word from an excited Frederick in Sweden.
I've always dreamt about building a Beetle with a water-cooled engine, and when I found the V8 Stealth Beetle on their YouTube channel, I thought that's the one I'm gonna build. In waiting for the components and chassis to arrive, I've started with the body preparations on my, you can see here, it's Beetle from 1973 and almost ready to lift off the body to start the cutting and the preparations for the chassis. Thanks from Sweden.
And lastly, our latest family member, Damien in Canada.
I'm a custom car builder, and I'm into classic style with modern performance. Obviously, V8 Stealth Beetle was a great fit for me, and I've been watching since the beginning and always wanted to build one. Finally have the opportunity here to pick up a 1958 Beetle, getting the V8 Stealth Beetle chassis here and getting started. Yeah, I just wanted to introduce myself and tell you how excited I am about building one of these awesome cars and joining the family.
So that brings us to the end of another packed episode, and I'm going to leave you with a question. As far as we're aware, no one has mated a Chevy LS3 with an Audi transaxle and put it mid-engined in a Volkswagen Beetle. If you know of someone who has, then we'd love to get in touch with them. But more importantly, if you'd like to own such a vehicle, a Volkswagen V8 Stealth Beetle with a Chevy LS3 engine, then get in touch.